Time to do another Cooper and Company off the cuff. This time we're going to do one of my favorite subjects of all times, Alabama football. Talk with my old buddy, legendary Crimson Tide player, Dennis Homan. Dennis, we almost look like twins.
You talking about the hair or the build or what?
Probably the hair. More than anything. How
good
are
to see you, man. I'm doing great, doing great. Family's doing great, and it's always good to see you. Where's Gloria?
Well, that's the number one question I get now when I start trying to do these things. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's this or whatever. Where's your wife? Where's Gloria? She's at home, but she said tell you hello, and the picture of you hugging her is one of her favorites. Showed it on the show earlier this week. But how's Dennis Homan?
Dennis Homan's doing fine, enjoying retirement and trying to keep up with grandkids and all their activities. It's just amazing.
You have a son that lives in Athens, attends Lindsay Lane Baptist Church?
It does. Matt, my daughter-in-law Jill, and Sydney and Reed. They're growing up so quickly and in so many activities, it's hard to keep up with that group over there. And then I've got my daughter and husband here that have 9-year-old twins, and they're in South Carolina right now in a Cal Ripken tournament.
You know that the pastor at Lindsay Lane is a huge Bama fan.
Dusty is a great friend and just a great guy. Came out of a tough background, and the Lord was merciful and saved him, and now he's pastor over there and doing a great job.
He does a fantastic, and he's still a big Roll Tide fan.
He is that.
Before we get started on talking about your career and stuff, let's talk about something that's current right now. Let's talk about Penn State. Did you ever imagine anything like this could be possible in college football?
No, not really. And I tell folks, Joe Paterno was a friend of mine. I played in several all-star games when after college, when they used to have the East-West game and all that. He was coach, and super guy. I just enjoyed being around him. He's done a great job, did a great job over the years. Of course, he's passed away now, but you just, I think if Joe, Coach Pa, had to do it over again, he would do it a lot differently.
But he doesn't. So how do you think he'll be how do you think people should remember Joe Paterno?
Well, sadly, I think that this is what's going to be remembered, you know, is what's happened, even with all the wins and everything else. It's a shame that this had to happen like that. And I know some true football fans, probably you're going to see some people that really stand behind him and say, well, he just made a mistake, should have brought this out, and didn't. He just made a mistake.
The statue will probably come down.
Oh,
more than likely.
That's what they're saying, and that's so sad. It really
I just want to get your opinion on that. Let's move on to some more things, talking about Alabama football. Do you ever think Alabama football will be where it is right now?
Well, I tell you what, after meeting Coach Saban several years ago and being around him, he reminds me so much of his mood and attitude with playing and winning and what it takes to do that, you know, of Coach Bryant. Now, I'm not putting him in the same, you know, category with Coach Bryant because he's got several more championships to win before we can do that. But
you think he'll get there?
Well, he's got a good chance at that because I tell you what, he's a disciplinarian, he's a perfectionist. Although you never reach that, you strive for that, and that's what he preaches all the time. And he's done a tremendous job. He's attracted a lot of players to Alabama. I mean, we've got players down there now that you're going to see this coming year that you've never heard of. They're going to be good players.
They're a little bigger than you when you played ball down there.
Well, just a little bit. I don't know what they're taking or what they're on or what they're pumping or whatever, but all players are big.
When you came out of Muscle Shoals to go to play for the Tide, what'd you weigh?
Weighed 170 pounds.
And became an All-American.
Well, I was fortunate to do that, and the reason is, you know, people say, well, you did a great job. It always comes down to coaching. We had a great coach. I mean, we did it his way or it was the highway. And he made us work hard, brought out the best in us, but also your teammates. You're surrounded. You can't be anything without those guys around you. It's not a me game, it's a we game.
Now, back when you were there, freshmen were not allowed to play.
Freshmen were not allowed to play, so we played 3 years.
You had a guy playing quarterback that made number 12 famous, Joe Willie Namath, my all-time hero. I had the pleasure of interviewing Joe naked one day when he was in Guys and Dolls in Birmingham. Just a super athlete. You never caught a pass from him in a game?
Only in practice. Joe was probably one of the greatest athletes I've ever been around. It wasn't just football. Joe could play basketball. He was the only guy when I was down there that could dunk a basketball. He could play baseball, Joe Namath. And I mean up to the elbow, he could do it. And he was just a great athlete.
What was it like seeing him as a senior down there? Well, how was he treated, and you being a freshman?
Well,
Go ahead, you can tell us.
Well, freshmen had their own floor, and we were not allowed to go up to the varsity floor there at Paul Bryant Hall. So we never really saw him there except for, at meals and things like that. And you were not allowed. In fact, some of the varsity players got snake and eye. We had to do all kind of things for the varsity, freshmen, get them to do this thing. So they got us to go up one day. Namath was up in his room asleep. They got Snake and I to go up there, knock on his door, wake him up. And we walk in, just start talking to him. And of course, he said a few choice words and then heard a lot of laughing out in the hall. And there was a bunch of varsity players, and he knew they would put us up to it. But boy, it scared us to death. But
so he was that.
Hey, he had that kind of image. He really did. And of course, after going to New York and being Mr. New York and Mr. Broadway, it even got bigger.
The HBO documentary was fabulous on him.
I saw that. I recommend.
Didn't see you anywhere. Did you turn them down? Your agent couldn't get enough money, or what?
It wasn't enough. I wanted a little bit more. But anyway, I say this, Jamie. Anyone should see that.
Oh,
I recommend that children should see that.
I get chill bumps watching.
I'm telling you, he went through some good times, went through some great times, went through some bad times, and I think athletes and families need to watch that.
All right, Namath, you never got to play with him, but you played with Steve Sloan and then later Stapler. Kenny Snake Stapler, everybody knows, one of the best-known athletes of all time. You wore number 25. What made you so good? Didn't Ray Perkins play with you too?
Ray was on the other side, and I think that's what helped me a lot. We had, fairly good receivers on each side, and two great quarterbacks in Steve Sloan and Kenny Stabler, and of course I roomed with Kenny for 3 years.
Yeah, how was that?
I'm just glad to be here.
Was he near as wild then as he was later in life? You can tell us.
Well, he was a free spirit. Let me put it that way, and I'm just glad to be here with you today. After going through what we did some crazy things. I'm just glad the Lord saved me out of that.
What made Dennis Homan so good?
Well, I don't know. I think growing up as a youngster in Muscle Shoals, that's all we did. Come home from school, we had our chores to do. After that, we went out, chose sides, and played ball, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, depending on what. And I was the youngest guy in my group, so I had to try harder. I had to work harder to compete with some of the older guys, my older brothers and their friends and that kind of thing. So I made up my mind when I was 14 that I was going to university and play ball, and told my parents that. And
speaking of your parents, if my memory serves me correctly, celebrated either their 70th, I want to say 75th wedding anniversary on Cooper and Company when we were in the Shoals area, like in 98, 99. Keith, is that about right? Somewhere around in there, 2000.
Yeah.
And your dad
75th.
Passed away at almost 101.
He passed away in 2008. He was 12 days shy of 101.
But to celebrate 75th year and hadn't put up with you as a kid, that's quite a deal. So when you get to Alabama, is it a dream come true?
It's just awesome. I remember the first time I walked on that field and the first time I saw Coach Bryant out there, it was just like I died and gone to heaven or something. He was that big, and had such an influence and impact on players, not just players, but that whole town, the whole state. He was the only person that I would see walk into a room and it would just completely go silent. I've never seen.
A lot of people do that with me, but they're all going out the back door. Were you ever scared of him?
Scared to death. I was more afraid of him than I was a barrel full of rattlesnakes. I wanted to please him. You wanted to do everything just right. You didn't want to do anything that would upset him. And I think that's what made us successful, because that's what we strive every day to please him and to get better. And that's what he wanted.
What was your record the 3 years you played there?
We lost 3 games.
3 games in 3 seasons?
Yep.
2 national championships?
Yep. And should have had a third, but
Should've.
they
Was that the tie?
got that on
Was
the
that the 10-10 tie?
missing ring right there. That's it right there, the missing
Oh,
ring.
these rings. All right, what is this one?
This is the 1965 national championship. That's the missing ring. That should have been 3 national championships in a row. That was 64, 65, 66, where we were the only undefeated college in the
Is that
nation.
when they tied 10-10, Notre Dame,
Right.
Michigan State?
That's it. And we didn't get it. That's the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame ring that I got. This ring probably means as much to me as any of them. This was the one that Coach Bryant gave his seniors, and inside the ring is engraved to Dennis Homan from Paul Bryant. So that means quite a bit to me. This was the Super Bowl ring where we played the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl V. And this is an antique here. This is the old World Football League. I played 2 years in the World Football League, and we won the first World Football League championship out of Birmingham. So that's that ring.
I have a collection of wedding bands similar to that.
You won't do.
All right, we've got a photo back here. But I remember this game, 7-3. We beat Auburn. Sorry, Brad. Kenny Stapler runs in the mud for what, 40-something yard touchdown, or what was it, if I remember?
Right, it was about 40 yards.
Here you are laying down.
I just made a block. You see these 2 guys laying out here?
Yeah.
I made a block right there, knocked those 2 guys down, and Kenny scored the winning touchdown. It was funny. Before this game, Coach Bryant, he had an unbelievable way of sizing up how a game was going to go. And it was tornado weather outside, been raining. We had 6 inches of mud on
Iron
Legion
Bowl.
Field at the Iron Bowl. But Coach Bryant tells us before we go out, he said, this is the way it's going to happen. Said it's going to be a game on the ground. There's going to be 2 or 3 plays that's going to decide this game. That's it. Not going to be a high-scoring game. Won't be a lot of balls thrown. So it's going to be 2 or 3 plays. And this was the one that won the game and beat them 7-3. So that's.
Did you catch a pass in that game?
I think I caught one. I bet we didn't throw 5 passes that game. It was awful. You couldn't get a good foothold, out there. It was just unbelievable. Probably the worst playing conditions I've ever been in.
Do you ever talk to Kenny much anymore?
I do. I talked to him probably a little over a month ago. Kenny's still a free spirit, and just trying to decide what he wants to do when he grows up. But always a good guy. We always had good relationship, and it helped us rooming together because we'd go over different things. Snake knew exactly what I was going to do, when I was going to do it. I knew what he was going to do, and we worked quite a bit, talked about it there in the room. So it helped us, I think, be successful.
What are you most proud of in playing ball at University of Alabama?
Well, I think the point is, you go through 4 years, including my freshman year, the varsity there, they went undefeated. We lost 3 games in the next 3 years. I think being associated with those players that accomplished something that can't be taken away from you, and going through a period of time where I think the mid-'60s were 3 great years, 4 great years at the University of Alabama. Being associated with Coach Bryant, being around him, being taught by him, learning things from him, I think I've carried over in life. Nothing comes free. You have to work for it. You have to have a plan and work that plan, and he taught us so many things just in the game of football that later on we applied to life. And I don't think I could have gone to another school, played with another coach and another team that could have made me more successful.
The field at Muscle Shoals is named after you. What does that make you feel like?
Very humble, very humbling. When they called me and told me about that, I said, there's so many players that came out of there. He said, yeah, but you're the first one. And was able to go on and play professional ball too. But it was just very humbling. Every time I go by there, the greatest feeling I get, my grandkids now, when I take them over there, they want to go over there and see it. I mean, it's just a great feeling.
I mean, looking at you about my size, it's hard to imagine that you once were in the NFL. And I see the way those guys get beat up on now. Or ain't Bama. I mean, Bama looks like an NFL team. Granted, I'm a Bama fan, didn't say that, but them dudes are big now.
They are big, Jamie, and I guess it's all, back, we had a few players in the NFL that were big size, but they would probably be small compared to the players that are playing today, and I I don't know if it's hormones in the foods or whatever that's going on, but players are just bigger now, you know, and I'd hate to, you know, they were big enough getting hit back then.
Well,
I can't imagine today.
You're just a little bit over 65. You're in great shape. Playing golf a lot. And you told me you only picked up golf 10 years ago.
That's right. Picked it up after I retired and enjoy it. Mostly I enjoy the fellowship I have with buddies I play with. Have a great time.
You go to any Bama games or you sit home with your wife and watch them on TV?
I try to make a game a year, you know, just to maybe see some of my former teammates that come in, but I'd rather be in front of that big 65 and be
HD
watching it on TV.
yeah.
Right, and watch it on TV and get to go.
What is your fondest moment of playing ball for the University of Alabama?
I think probably, you know, the 2 national championships you won. It's probably the fondest memories that I have. But the ones that I remember the most, Jamie, to be honest with you, are the 3 games we lost. You know, we paid for it.
Who beat us?
The next week. Georgia beat us on the last play in my sophomore year on a little flea flicker. And we got back to Tuscaloosa. And manager came in, Brian Hall, knocking on the door, got us up. We were on the practice field on Sunday morning at 5 o'clock.
Get out.
We practiced twice a week the rest of that week until the next game. And I never will forget the speech that Coach Bryant gave us, and it was on Thursday morning. And we were telling the assistant coach, we are worn out. We can't, you know, we got a game Saturday. How are we going to play? We've been practicing twice a day. Well, Coach Bryant calls us up Thursday morning on the practice field. He said, well, I hear you're tired. And we knew we'd been ratted out by the coaches, you know. And so he gives his speech, and I can remember it just like it was yesterday. He said, well, I'm tired too. He said, we can either take that tombstone that we collected over in Georgia and make a stepping stone out of it, or we can lie down and die. As for me, I've been here before. I'm going on. If you don't want to go with me, there's the gate. Get out.
And you still remember verbatim practically that?
We went undefeated the rest of the year and won the national championship that year. But it was that speech that Thursday morning that I think turned our season around.
I had the pleasure of interviewing when I was at 31 and just a cameraman basically, but when the sports guy couldn't go, and I would be scared to death.
Hey, I can understand.
What are you going to ask me, son? You know, Bear Bryant and I have one thing in common you probably don't realize. We're the only two guys I know that wrestled a bear. I did mine on live TV in 1980. Still have the video to prove it. About dang killed me, but I mean, I wasn't too smart. I never claimed to be smart, but that's my only thing. Yeah, I wore white shoes in high school because of Joe Namath. Got knee injuries. The only thing I got in common with him. But dang, well, Dennis, you've had a great career. I know you're a great Christian guy now. We love seeing you in Athens when you can make it over and stuff like that. And what do you predict for Alabama football this year and the next couple of years? What do you see with Coach Saban?
Well, I think we're on the right track. You know, as I said earlier, I think.
How many championships can we win?
Well, we've got a shot every year. You know, I think as long as Coach Saban's there, is the mindset that he has, the mindset that he tries to relate to the team, you got a shot every year. You know, and I promise you're going to see some players this year you haven't heard of that are going to step into the starting lineup and they're going to be great players because we've gotten some great recruiting classes the last several years.
If you could change anything about what you did in your career, what would it be?
You know, Jamie, I really can't think of a lot. The Lord's been so good to me, and I think He allowed me to fulfill my dream and to go through some of those things so that now that I'm a Christian and I have opportunities to speak out for Him, that I wouldn't have had that chance unless I'd been in the situations that I've been in with Alabama and with Dallas, Kansas City, and those teams, you know, that I get a chance to talk to different people about the Lord, and that's great. And I think He gave me that opportunity because of that.
Drew Brees just got a contract for like $20 million, $25 million a year. You're gonna make $40 this first year guaranteed. When they paid you in the NFL, what kind of money, big money did you make?
Made $30,000. I was a first-round draft choice.
$30,000.
Yeah, I thought I'd stolen blind. And $30,000 back in '68, you know, that was pretty good money. But, you know, today it's just unbelievable, the money that they get. And that money's guaranteed. I mean, most of the time you're talking 20 to 30 million dollars, and they don't even have to put on a jock
If
strap.
they get hurt, they still getting paid.
Absolutely, that's it. So,
Well, Dennis, roll tide, buddy. Always
Jamie.
one of my favorite people. Gloria says, tell you hello.
Well, you
Boy,
tell
you have a
that-
question?
A&M in Missouri, Dennis.
Oh, he wants to ask you about A&M and Missouri being in the SEC.
I'm very surprised, you know, I'm
Shut up, Keith. I'm asking questions.
that they're there. They're two great teams, and people are always asking me, why did they come into the SEC, or why did the SEC allow them to come in? You know, bottom line, I think when it gets down to it, it's money.
And it's
That's
recruiting,
it.
recruiting.
And yeah, exactly.
So what are you going to do from here on out?
Well, I'm going to do what I'm told. I finally learned that after 44 years. You know, it's a lot easier that way. And just keep going on, growing up with my grandkids, being a part of their life, and loving my wife, loving the Lord, and just doing what I need to do.
Thank you for your time again before we were interrupted
Thank you.
by the Swami.
Tell Sweet Glory hello.
I'll do it. Dennis Homan, one of the all-time
Love you,
great
buddy.
Alabama football players. Thank you.